The first overall pick in the NFL draft, quite possibly the most prized possession of some of the worst teams in the NFL. If you're a bad team, trust me, you want the first overall pick. And I say it's a prized possession, but I don't think anybody in the NFL wants to have the first overall pick on purpose. Trust me, because at the end of the day, every team is going to play for that 32nd overall pick, because that usually means you won the Super Bowl 9 times out of 10. But in this video, we're going to be ranking every first overall pick since 2010 from the worst to the best. And there have been a number of first overall picks that have flat out, not been good. Some have been and some have been great to this point. I'm actually not gonna lie, I'm pretty glad I'm redoing this video because it gives me time to make it a little bit shorter, which is kind of the aim for a lot of my videos. I don't want to make them too long, but you don't want to make them too short either. So, pretty good here. Before I push further into this video, like usually, I'm not gonna ask you to subscribe quite yet. At the end of this video, I hope I earned your subscription. I will ask you though to follow me on my social medias, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that is going to be down below in the description. Even if for some reason you don't like my content, the least you can do is follow me on my Instagram and all my social medias to look at some of my bad takes. I make a lot of them, so, I'm always there. But anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into this video. Coming in at number 14, we got Bryce Young. Now, for Bryce Young, he's still young. He just got in the league. He didn't have a good year. And a lot of that, has to do with the surroundings around him. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's a rookie. So you expect him to struggle just a little bit. Bryce Young only won 2 games as starter last year. Passed for over 2,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. Like I said, a lot of that has to do with the fact that he doesn't have a good offense around him. And his offensive line was also equally terrible. As I said before, he was just drafted. So like I said, very new to the league still, so he's going to be automatically last on this list for the time being. But I truly believe in the next couple years, he could move on this list to the top 5, maybe the top 10. We'll see. Coming in at number 13, we have Sam Bradford. Now, while it might not seem like it, but Sam Bradford was an absolute dog at the University of Oklahoma. He won the Davey O'Brien Award in 2008, and he was also a Heisman winner in 2008. So this guy was not a first overall pick for no reason whatsoever. In his rookie year with the Rams in 2010, he went 7-9 as a starter, passed for 3,512 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions, and route to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Now, the 2011 season would basically be the prelude to the rest of Sam Bradford's career, as he was playing 10 games, missing a couple games due to injury that same year, going 1-9 as a starter, passed for 2,164 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. His career year would come in 2012 though, going 7-8 as a starter, passed for 3,702 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. However, in 2013, after taking a hit from Panthers safety Mike Mitchell, Sam Bradford would tear his ACL and he will miss the rest of the season. He went 3-4 as a starter, passed for 1,687 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. He was on his way to a career year that year. Actually, in 2014, after taking a hit in the game against the Browns in the preseason, he would re-aggravate that same ACL that he tore, and unfortunately, he will miss the rest of the season, or basically the entire season in 2014. The Rams traded Sam Bradford to the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for Nick Foles, a 2015 4th-round pick, and a 2016 2nd-round pick. He was pretty mad with the Eagles, playing in 14 games, going 7-7 as a starter, passed for 3,725 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. Then during the 2016 NFL Draft, the Eagles took Carson Wentz, which made Sam Bradford expendable, so they traded him to the Minnesota Vikings in exchange for a 2017 1st-round pick. He had an okay year with the Minnesota Vikings, nothing crazy, playing in 15 games, going to 7-8 as a starter, passed for 3,877 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. A pretty good start to his 2017 season with the Minnesota Vikings. In week 1, he went 27 for 32 for 346 yards and 3 touchdowns against the New Orleans Saints, winning NFC Offensive Player of the Week. However, it was revealed later on that Sam Bradford was continuing to have issues with the ACL that he previously tore a couple seasons ago. Because of that, he will undergo a surgery and he'll miss the rest of the season basically because of that. Case Keenum would come in and he led the Vikings all the way to the divisional round, and Sam Bradford would not see the field ever again for the Minnesota Vikings that season. Then during the 2018 offseason, he signed a 2-year contract with Arizona Cardinals worth of $20 million. Going 0-3 as a starter, passed for 400 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. He was benched for the rookie Josh Rosen, and eventually he would be released from the Arizona Cardinals. In my opinion, I think Rosen had the ability to be a great quarterback in the NFL, but unfortunately, his body would not let him do that. He showed the potential and talent at the University of Oklahoma, and sometimes throughout the NFL, he also showed his potential as well. But unfortunately, his body just said, no, 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 we can't do this, and his career was just not meant to be. Coming in at number 12, we have the famous Jamarius Winston. Jamarius Winston, we all know this guy had one hell of a college career at the University of Florida State. Won the Heisman Trophy Award in 2013, was the AP Player of the Year in 2013. He won the National Championship in 2014. He was named the 2014 Offensive MVP in the National Championship in 2014. He was the ACC Rookie of the Year in 2013. He was the ACC Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2013. He was the ACC Athlete of the Year in 2014. And he won 3 ACC championships during his time at Florida State. Like I said, I don't need to go over all this, do I? It's just really unfortunate that his NFL career couldn't go in the same order, honestly. He had a pretty good rookie year in 2015, going 6-10 as a starter, passed for 4,402 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. He would also manage to make the Pro Bowl that year as well. Another pretty good season in 2016 where he went 9-7, his only winning record in a full season to this point. And from 2017 to 2018, it was pretty mid, not really too good years, but he did miss a couple games in that time span as well. And he was actually benched for Ryan Fitzpatrick in 2018 at one point. But the infamous season for Winston came in 2019. He played in all 16 games. He went 7-9. He passed for 5,000 yards, threw 33 touchdowns, but he also threw 30 interceptions, becoming one of the first quarterbacks in a while to throw 30 touchdowns and also 30 interceptions, a record that no quarterback wants to have. Then in 2020, he signed with the New Orleans Saints after the Buccaneers signed Tom Brady and let Jamarius Winston walk. He wouldn't appear in a lot of games in 2020, mostly in garbage time, but in 2021, he would play in 7 games, going 5-2 as a starter, passing for over 1,000 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, but unfortunately, his season would end early due to a torn ACL. Winston would start 3 games in 2022, and he wouldn't start a single game in 2023, mostly appearing in a couple random appearances. Winston to this point is probably going to either be a career backup or maybe just a really average starter when he does start. Oh, by the way, March 20th he did sign with the Cleveland Browns. Let me get at number 11, we have Trevon Walker. Now hear me out, I think Trevon Walker was a bit of a reach, without a doubt. Do I think he's still been an okay player? Yes. Will I still take multiple players over him first overall? Absolutely. But he's been an okay player to this point. I will say though, him playing next to Josh Allen is probably one of the things that's doing wonders for his career with the Jaguars to this point. I do definitely think there's some improvements he can make to his game, like as a run defender and definitely as a pass rusher. But I think he still has time to improve. So his career is not over yet. But for this next guy, he needs to put the pedal to the metal. This guy was supposed to be that generation type of guy, right? Let's get to it. Coming in at number 10, we got Trevor Lawrence, aka T-Law. Now, I expected more of Trevor Lawrence. I'll give him a pass his rookie year because that man had Urban Meyer, some of the worst weapons possible for the most part. But he did do really good in 2022, passed over 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions, and routes leading the Jaguars to the AFC South crown. Now, in the wildcard game against the Chargers, he threw 3 first-half interceptions, but somehow he led his team back despite that abysmal performance in the first half, and he managed to win this game. And then in 2023, he fell apart again. He passed over 4,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. Now, a lot of these interceptions weren't his fault, but he was still pretty, mid for a guy who was supposed to be this generational type talent, and so far, he hasn't lived up to it. And Lawrence, he's only 24 years old, so he has a chance to possibly rewrite his story, but as of right now, a lot of people are calling Trevor Lawrence out and asking him, was he really this generation type talent that everybody thought he would be? As of right now, he's not looking like it, but as I said before, he has every chance in the world to rewrite his book. Let me get at number 8, we have Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield at one point was leaning towards that flat out bust category, but he's sort of having the better Geno Smith career rise to this point, or the career rejuvenation to this point, I would say. In his rookie year with the Browns, remember in 2018, he went 6-7 as a starter, passed for 3,725 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. And then in 2019, everybody thought Baker Mayfield was about to go off. He had Jarvis Landry, OBJ, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. Everybody thought this Browns team was bound to make the Super Bowl. But this Browns team was a flat-out disappointment. In 2019, they went 6-10, and Baker Mayfield threw 22 touchdowns to 21 interceptions. Bounced back in 2020 when he went 11-5 as a starter, playing in all 16 games. Passed for 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions with 3,563 yards. Once again, everything would fall apart for the Browns. In 2021, Baker Mayfield suffered a torn labrum. Now, he would continue to play with this injury, but you could tell pretty much early on that Baker Mayfield was not 100%. And then eventually in 2021, he would announce that he would undergo surgery and miss the rest of the season. He would end up throwing for over 3,000 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. He was stopped with the Carolina Panthers in 2022, which was pretty bad. And then he had to stop with the Rams, which was better. And it continued to show that Baker Mayfield had some potential. And then in 2023, he got his one final chance to prove he could be a quarterback in the NFL when he signed a 1-year prove-it deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Proved that he was still a quality quarterback when he went 9-8, passed for 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, and even led the Buccaneers to a playoff win over the Philadelphia Eagles. During the offseason, he was awarded with a 3-year extension with the Buccaneers worth over $100 million and $50 million guaranteed, proving that he is a really good quarterback and all he needed was a good chance with a good team, and he did just that. Coming in at number 7, we had Clowney. Now, Clowney came into the 2014 NFL draft as this generational type prospect that we've never seen before, and now generational type talent is something that Clowney has not been, if we're being honest, but he has been a great player in the NFL to this point. Now, he has become that all-time defensive player like some people thought he would be, but he has become a very solid player in the NFL to this point. He made the Pro Bowl from 2016 to 2018 with the Houston Texans, and he also made a second-team All-Pro with the Houston Texans. He also went on to have a very decent outing with the Seahawks, a very decent outing with the Cleveland Browns, and just recently had a very decent outing with the Baltimore Ravens, where he tallied 43 tackles, 9.5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. And he just recently signed a 2-year contract with the Carolina Panthers to return home. So Clowney is definitely going to go down as one of those first overall picks that definitely didn't live up to the hype, but he's also going to go down as one of those first overall picks that is continuing to contribute to the league in some way. It's not like he's being a bench player. It's not like he's not doing anything. He's contributing to the Ravens, he contributes to the Browns, and he's contributing to the Texans. So for the most part, he is still a very great player in the NFL to this point. Might I even say one of the more underrated defenders in this league, but that's up for y'all to decide, honestly. Now this next one might be very controversial, but number 6, I'm going to have Kyler Murray here. Now, don't get me wrong, Kyler Murray, when he's playing to the best of his abilities, I think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, but I had to put him number 6 because I feel like, I'm not going to be one of those people that, just puts a person here just because he has name value. I'm going to be straight up here. Murray had a great rookie year in 2019 where he played in all 16 games, going 5-10 as a starter, passed for over 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions, while also rushed for 500 yards on the ground and 4 touchdowns. He would lead his team to the playoffs in 2021 when he went 9-5 as a starter, passed the ball for 3,787 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, while also rushed for over 400 yards on the ground and 5 touchdowns. But in 2022, Kyler Murray would tear his ACL, and that'll put him out for the rest of the season. Then in 2023, he came back, and this Cardinals offense looked absolutely different. He'll pass the ball for over 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, ran the ball for over 200 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So for the most part, Kyler Murray is getting back into that form, and if they draft a guy like Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., or Romeo Unze, I believe this Cardinals offense will look very good next year. They looked sort of good when Kyler Murray was playing. They looked sort of into form, so I can only imagine with a full season with some new weapons, this Cardinals offense is going to look absolutely great next year. Lord, I'm asking the football fans of the world, do not hate me for this next one. Number 5, Jared Goff. Let's start off with this. It don't even matter if Jared Goff ain't winning on the field. Y'all see what he got off the field? Oh, Philly, you're not supposed to be doing this? Yeah, all right, I'll get back to it. Now, Goff's rookie year is something we really don't have to talk about because that man had the QB killer as his head coach. Jeff Fisher. So right there, we're just going to simply ignore that. Then in 2017, he got the QB offensive whisperer in his ear and Sean McVay. And in 2017, he went 11-4 as a starter. Passed the ball for over 3,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions, leading the Rams to the playoffs. But then in 2018, he played in all 16 games, going 13-3 as a starter. Passed the ball for 4,688 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions, leading the Rams to the playoffs. Although it's controversial, he still did. But let me correct that. He led them to the Super Bowl, although controversially, he still did. And ironically, the score was the same as his record, 13-3. The Rams only scored 3 points in that game. Then after 2 more seasons with the Rams, he was then traded to the Detroit Lions in 2021. He would go 3-10 in 2021, but then in 2022, he popped off a little bit. Passed the ball for over 4,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 7 receptions. But then in 2023, he played in all 17 games, going 12-5. Passed the ball for over 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Being this close, the leading the Lions to a Super Bowl for the first time in dang near decades. Goff at one point was a guy who you could consider average QB for the most part, but I believe at this point he's an above average QB at best in my opinion. He could be a top 10 quarterback in my opinion, and I think he is proving himself to be one of those guys who's not just one of Sean McVay's, experiments. He's proven on his own that he's a great quarterback in my opinion. Now we get into what I like to call the juice. Coming in at number 4, we got Joe Burrow. Burrow's another guy who got up to a rocky start in his NFL career. He tore his ACL in his rookie year, but then in 2021, he came back with a vengeance. He got his buddy Jamar Chase, went 6-10, passed the ball for over 4,000 yards, 34 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. Obviously, he would win Comeback Player of the Year that year, and he also was 3 points away from winning a Super Bowl, but unfortunately, Aaron Donald exists. He would also make his first Pro Bowl in 2022 as well. To keep it short and sweet though, Joe Burrow is consistently named a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, and so far he has played just like that, and he has led us to that first overall pick hype to this point. Despite a few injury concerns, I think Joe Burrow is going to continue to be a great quarterback in the NFL. Coming in at number 3, we have Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck is one of the best quarterback prospects of all time, and going into the NFL, everybody thought he was going to be a great quarterback. And I know by the way I'm talking, it sounds like I'm saying he wasn't a great quarterback, because Andrew Luck was a great quarterback. He had that good rookie year in 2012 where he went 11-5, led the Colts to the playoffs. Unfortunately, they just ran into Ray Lewis and the Ravens, and they got eliminated. Then he had that amazing season in 2014 where he once again went 11-5, threw for over 4,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions. He actually led the league in touchdowns that year, by the way. He made a Pro Bowl 4 times and was named the Comeback Player of the Year in 2018. Unfortunately, early on in his career, Andrew Luck had a history of concussions and other injuries that would end up being the catalyst of his retirement in 2019. If not for this retirement, the Colts would probably have won a Super Bowl, honestly, in my opinion, to this point. Unfortunately, injuries got in the way of Andrew Luck, and he cannot become that great quarterback he was meant to be. He was a good quarterback. I'm not saying he wasn't once again, but I believe he could have been way better, maybe Hall of Fame caliber to this point if that retirement didn't happen. But he's still done enough to this point to warrant him being this high on this list to this point. Coming in at number 2, we have Cam Newton. In my opinion, Cam Newton brought in a very unique skill set into the NFL. Cam Newton was like 6 foot tall, built like a linebacker, but this guy could move like a running back. This guy had the skill set of, a quarterback that you've never seen before coming into the NFL at that point. I mean, he was doing stuff a 6 foot tall quarterback, honestly, shouldn't be able to do. It's just really unfortunate that his career didn't last longer because TJ Watt turned this man's shoulder into baked chicken falling off the bone. But he still had a very great career in the end. He made 3 Pro Bowls, made a first team All-Pro in 2015, was Offensive Rookie Year in 2011. He was the NFL Offensive Player of the Year in 2015, and he was the MVP obviously in 2015. That season honestly was magical in my opinion. That was the season he went 15-1, threw for over 3,000 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 10 receptions, and also ran for 600 yards on the ground and 10 touchdowns on the ground as well. Like I said, that was one of my favorite MVP seasons ever. And honestly, I'm not that much older than some of y'all probably, so I'm younger than most of y'all probably. So obviously, my favorite MVP season to y'all might be way different than some of y'all's. But Cam Newton's gonna go down as one of my favorite players in this decade, and I think he's gonna go down as one of the better first overall picks of this decade as well, pretty easily. And now the number 1 spot. Honestly, I think at some point I was maybe going to put this guy at the number 2 spot. But after a couple months ago, I said this guy deserves to be number 1. It's Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett might be the only player on this list right now who's almost a guaranteed Hall of Fame lock to this point, and rightfully so. 13 sacks in 2018, 10 sacks in 2019, 12 sacks in 2020, 16 sacks in 2021, 16 sacks in 2022, and 14 sacks in 2023. And honestly, this isn't even including the pressures, which may make his stats look even better. But his resume in general is almost definitely Hall of Fame worthy. Defensive Player of the Year in 2023, 3-time First Team All-Pro, 2-time Second Team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler. To this point, he has 305 tackles, 88.5 sacks, 17 forced fumbles, 5 fumble recoveries, 6 pass deflections, touchdown. This guy was a 5-star prospect coming out of high school for a reason. In the NFL, he's living up to it. Without a doubt, the best first overall pick this decade, in my opinion. And just like that, we have made it to the end of this video. Hopefully this is my last time uploading this, and I don't have to make a final cut once again. But hopefully this is the final version of it, because I don't want to have to do this again. But anyways, like I said before, that's going to do it for this video. If you haven't yet, I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, make sure you subscribe to my channel and tap the bell icon for future football content. Also, follow me on my social medias down below in the description. Instagram, X, TikTok, all that is going to be down below in the description. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.